Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Family in Focus, the show presented by the Asian Community Development Council, ACDC, based right here in Las Vegas, airing live, streaming live on PHLV Radio and all their platforms as well. Well, today, this Monday, we're going to talk food, delicious food. So exciting because we're listening right now. A lot of people probably love Filipino food, and we have one of the biggest pioneers in modern Filipino food here in the US, especially in New York, but now she's expanding this just nationwide, which I'm so excited to be talking to our guest today. Her name is Nicole Ponseca, and she's joining us live from Miami, Florida. Hi, Nicole, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. And Nicole and I actually go way back because we actually went to college together, go Dons, University of San Francisco back in the day. So it's so great to see you guys. It's been many years since we saw each other.
It's been, I think, since graduation. I don't think I've seen you since graduated.
Hey, we
years ago.
Just a few years ago. Yes, we went to college together in San Francisco. She's went on to done so many great things, including starting 2 restaurants in New York City, Jeepney and Mahalika, which actually, you forgot about this. When I went to New York, I think about 10 years ago, I ate at both your restaurants. But I think we talked on the phone. We didn't get to chat, but I ate at both Mahalika and Jeepney, and they were delicious. So I'm so excited that you're going to be opening another restaurant in Miami, right?
Yes, we opened January 2nd. We're part of this really wonderful experiment in Miami where it's all Asian food, and I'm happy to be involved. They've been around for 4 years, and we're the newest entrant to this experience here in Wynwood, which is the Arts District. And you know, they have Chinese and ramen represented, and poke and sushi, and I believe they had Thai before, and we're representing the Philippines, so it's really wonderful. Yeah,
I think is it called 1-800-Lucky, right? That's the kind of the cool Asian food hall kind of thing.
Yes, that's right. It's called 1-800-Lucky, and our stall is called Jeepney Filipino.
Yes. So Filipino, we're talking today. Well, the big reason we're having you on this show here in Las Vegas, because you're going to be in town. You're going to jet across the country to Las Vegas this Friday for a special event here in town. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, you know, I'm really excited about it. It's Island Pacific, which many of your viewers are probably aware of. They have a rich Filipino heritage, and they're opening a new location in Nellis, Las Vegas, which I believe is near the military base there. And we know so many Filipinos, my family included, that came to the US and served the US military. And it's a very sweet spot for me that I can leverage my Filipino history, my education and food, and also be part of the community, both with the US military and with our Asian community. Yeah, there seems to be a theme here, Pat. 1-800-Lucky, and this is the year of the Asian, I suppose.
No, it's great. I mean, obviously, more people talk about Filipino food. And let's put up, we have a little poster from the event coming up on Friday. So this is your cookbook signing, because the reason you're there, you're going to be signing this book, which I think came out probably a year or 2 ago now, right? I mean, a lot of people have had this book, have read this book. It's been nominated by the James Beard Foundation International for Cookbook of the Year in 2019, which is so amazing. So you're going to be signing this book this Friday at 1 p.m. at Island Pacific. So if people haven't read this before, talk to us about what is unique about this cookbook. It's not just a cookbook, right? It tells just some history about Filipino cuisine as well.
Well, first of all, Pat, before I even get into that, I just want to remark on your cadence and your professionals. I'm so proud of you. I don't think I could go further with this interview if I didn't just highlight really just I'm so impressed with you and just how you hold yourself and how you represent. So thank you for the work that you've done to get where you're at. and having me a part of this today. So thank you so much. And yes, you did your homework, as I'm not surprised that you would. The book came out at the end of 2018, and it really made waves all throughout 2019. We were so proud of the book, and then to get a James Beard nod. Many well-respected publications named it part of their cookbook journey best of for the year. And I can't say that, you know, I wanted it there. I wanted it to represent, I wanted it to have high marks. You know, we wanted to shoot for the straight A's, if you will. And so we did put a lot of work to this book. It really started in 1998 for me, when I wanted to see my culture, my food, my family represented. And so the thread of it is, how do I want to be seen? And what was the information lacking for me? So it was more than just recipes. The book became about, I would say, etymology almost, or sometimes I feel like I'm an Indiana Jones of Filipino food. I went spelunking in caves. I hitchhiked and bike ride, motorcycle rode all throughout the Philippines, from the most northern part to the southern tip. I went to an area that is off limits. It's called ARM, the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. And I happily made friends with so many people there, and they even put me in a hijab, and we went to so many different areas so that I could learn the depths of this food. And I think that's why it has done so well amongst Filipinos, is because we wanted to be seen. We want to know more about our history. And for people who aren't Filipino, they too can be part of the culinary journey. Yeah.
So this book again is called I Am Filipino, and This Is How We Cook, right? And it's just so great just looking at this book, and I've looked through the book, and it's such a history, and I'm sure it's been very personal for you as well, because you know you're Filipino American. I know you grew up in Southern California, but you lived in New York for a long time. So talk to me about that kind of food journey that you know the people have you know experienced through the Filipino cuisine, from the West Coast to the East Coast. I mean, and what's happening now? What's your perspective? What's happening? Are people just seeing Filipino food in a new light, or it's always been there, but you know people can't really kind of connect with it till now? What's your take on this?
Well, as you know, Pat, I never thought I was going to go into food. I thought I was going to be in advertising.
Right, I remember that.
It was all advertising all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I got to New York, I knew I wanted to work for one of the big firms. And so on my 14th day, I got all my offers, and I wound up working for an ad agency named Saatchi & Saatchi, one of my dreams.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, when I started working on strategy and creative briefs, it was really an eye-opener for me that I could see what lack of representation we had in media, in advertising, in television shows. I mean, how many medical shows do we need? And not one of them has featured a Filipino principal. And I dare you to find one hospital in the United States that doesn't have a plethora of Filipino nurses.
Right.
So when I was working on these strategies, I was like, wow, I was 21 years old. And I thought, wow, we don't really have any foothold here. And that was very different than growing up in San Diego and in San Francisco, where in fact in San Francisco, Tagalog is the second language after English, before Chinese, and even before Spanish. And where are we? We were almost a sleeping giant. And so for about 12 years, I led two lives. I was an ad exec by day. And at night, I started working in restaurants, dishwasher, a host, whatever I can do. A lot of people didn't know I had the dual hustle. My bosses certainly didn't know. And I did all of that because my goal was to put Filipino food on the map and do it in a restaurant that was cool, that spoke to my generation. And if I liked it and my generation liked it, then hopefully it would spread. And that's what happened. And to your question, you know, you're asking me why only now? I mean, This has been a question that has come up since 2011 when we first opened, and echoed with Andrew Zimmern, who said Filipino food is the next big thing in 2012. We're still now 9 years later, and it's still trending or coming up. And I'll tell you why. Unlike Mexican food or Italian food, where the immigrant story and their food has matriculated into feeding their own and into the restaurant industry and becoming ubiquitous, really synonymous with American food, almost, right? At any dining table in America, when you go out to eat or when you're craving, even your cuisine, pad thai is part of the lexicon. And that's not necessarily true with lumpia and pancit. One of the reasons I think is because we were never fully encouraged to be entrepreneurs, and nor were we really fully encouraged to be in the food industry. It was a blue collar gig, and it still is, despite the glamour that Food Network and all these shows like Top Chef put out there. It's a blue collar gig. And so I think it's now, because food is part of our social currency, that we talk about food like we talk about sports, like we talk about music, that it has elevated. And so now you have this conversion of an entrepreneurial spirit, people interested in our culture, us ourselves being interested, and now joining into the food industry as professionals and claiming the food as our own and to share. So that's why I think we're beginning to blip, and it's only just beginning. Like, you know, you had Tom Cunanan out of DC get Chef of the Year, Musang in Seattle being named Best Restaurant by Bon Appetit. So I think my restaurant helped kick the door open, and it's a party and everyone's invited.
It's great because I remember when I was eating at Jibney in New York, one of the things I remember the food. The food was great, but what I love is you have this little chalkboard, I think, above the bar, and it, you know, had like Filipino word of the day, you know, and you know, stuff like that. So just kind of getting that culture mixed in with the food, I think is what kind of connecting people, right? I mean, as a journalist, I'm all about telling stories. And I think when you have a great story to tell and you're telling it in a compelling way, it just connects with people. It's more than just about eating, right? It's about that whole experience when we go to a restaurant.
Yeah, I have to say that the way I approach the restaurant is I approached it the way I was trained. When I worked at an Italian restaurant or when I worked at a French restaurant, I had to know the regions. I had to know the pronunciation. I needed to know what wines would pair well with the dishes. And that kind of self-respect translates into others also respecting your culture. And it can be subversive. Sometimes it can be undetected. But all of these choices that you make behind the scenes add up to an experience. It adds up to, I guess now you might call it a trend, where the more people are talking about it and talking about it positively, the more people want to join in and take a bite.
Yeah. And yeah, just being that in crowd. And I love that the Filipinos, Asian Americans are being that in crowd when it comes to the food world. And I love it because people want to be in now. They want to learn all the complexities, right? That we're not just Asian American food, we're Cambodian American, Filipino American, Thai American, all kinds of food. So tell us about this latest venture. And I think we have some pictures too from Jibney. So you had Jibney in New York for a while, and now you're opening up in Miami. So talk to us about the food a little bit. When people go and experience it, how is it different from other maybe Filipino American restaurants?
Well, let's first talk about what Filipino food is, which is often not understood or even thought of. So for anybody who doesn't know Filipino food, I'd like to take this opportunity to really tell you a little bit about who we are politically, sociographically, so you know how the food comes to be. We have been colonized by Spain for 300 years. So you see that influence in food, in language, in religion, in social norms. And so there's a heavy Spanish influence, but I would venture to say we're even more Mexican than we are Spanish. And then you have the Malay matrix, Chinese immigrants, which were the first immigrants to come to the Philippines. And that all kind of feeds into the influence of the food. Often the first time people have Filipino food, they're probably taking a bite of something Chinese. They're having lumpia or pancit, which is the most northern part of the Philippines where the first Chinese immigrants come. And then you can have rich stews like caldereta or kare-kare. And then you have beautiful light dishes like kinilaw or inihaw, ceviches and grilled dishes. So it's so vast. But I would say the four corners of the food is things that are sour or acid-based or citrus-based, then a funk that comes from fermented shrimp or fish. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. And then you have
hungry.
yeah, the sweetness of coconut milk. But for me, I feel, in Thai cuisine, the sweetness helps balance the acidity and heat. Whereas for Filipino cuisine, acid really balances out the funk and some of the sweetness. You always have to have some forward flavor. And I would say it's acid for us. And I always love to equate food with music. And so you can have the horn section, percussion, and for Filipino food, it's kind of loud, but it's symphonic. Everything is like on full blast, and it's really, really good. You were asking my partnership with Island. Oh, you were asking about Miami and what I'm doing here, right? Well, the food is a little bit different here in Miami. I'm focusing on noodles and barbecue, and my goal is to popularize Filipino noodles and be an entry for people to really want and crave Filipino food every day, because sometimes it can be on the heavier side. So I feel noodles flavored with all of those four corners of Filipino flavors can really wind up being a staple for a lot of people. And in Vegas, we're opening Island Pacific, and it feels really special, Pat, because I've seen H Mart grow, and H Mart was, I believe, Korean owned forward. And then we certainly have Italy, which is Italian forward. This to me is the first supermarket that's really claiming Filipino heritage, putting it out there with dishes and ingredients. And as I understand it, the supermarket will feature my book everywhere. There'll be recipes and quotes, and it's really inspiring,
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Dreams for the book, but I didn't know it could inspire a supermarket. Yeah.
And as you know, Vegas is such a huge, Asian American, but also Filipino American, so a lot of people here are looking for that taste of home. And I think, you being there, sharing your recipes and just having that market there with all the fresh ingredients, I think it's going to be a really fun event coming up this Friday.
Yeah, so I believe the event starts at 10. We have a ribbon cutting at 11. I'll be there throughout the day and signing books at 2 p.m. And I have to say, whenever we've signed, I've been around the world, Chicago, San Diego, Melbourne, we've sold out. So I do really recommend people to come through, even though the book has already done well. There is more people to learn about our culture and cuisine. It becomes a great gift for graduation, for weddings, for people's first home. It's really a book for all occasions and for wonderful food. So, yeah.
And I think what's great about it is the history, and not just, the Filipino, but just kind of your history kind of journey with this. And, just remember meeting you for the first time, like this girl from Southern California, I don't think I even had Filipino food at the time. So now, coming to this point in time is really exciting to see, how far you've come on your journey as well. So congratulations on all your success. I can't wait to see you Friday. This is going to be fun. Yes, I'm going to come by and chat with you and get my books out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know you have a busy schedule, so that's going to be a real treat to see you. I have to say that, I don't know about you, but going to University of San Francisco and being our age at that particular time, I never felt like my gender or our race was a hindrance to who we were. It's only as I got older and in different rooms and different scenarios that I began to see it. And I'm so glad that we had that foundation at the University of San Francisco, the city itself that was so diverse, because it propelled us. It compelled us to just do our best. And here we are, and I'm so excited to reunite with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I'm excited for you. Congratulations on the new restaurant in Miami, on this cookbook, of course. And for everybody watching, come support Nicole. And of course, the opening of Island Pacific on Nellis. This is happening on Friday, the 26th, and Nicole will be there. This cookbook is great. So if you haven't seen it, definitely, I know one of our producers already got hers ready to come in hand for you to sign it. She bought it online. So yeah, so we're very excited. Nicole, congratulations on everything. And thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And so what's next? So last question for you. What's next for Filipino food? What can we expect in 2021?
I think you're going to find more and more resourcefulness out of entrepreneurs who want to get into the food and Filipino world. You know, the brick and mortar model is broken right now, as we've seen so many restaurants close from coast to coast. And yet combined, we employ so many people. And I think combined, the numbers rival that of the automobile and airline industry, all of our independent restaurants. So COVID was devastating to a lot of us, but what's going to happen is we're going to be resourceful. We're going to be scrappy. That's what it means to be in this industry. And there's going to be more opportunities for you to try Filipino food. If you're in Miami, I hope you come try me out at Wynwood. And I'm looking forward to being more and more of a storyteller. I don't think I'm only in food. I think that I'll be in books. And I think that there's going to be more ways for me to storytell about being a woman, an Asian woman, and diversity. So,
all right. Well, thanks for representing. I love that. Yeah. And keep going. I think it's great what you're doing. And thank you again, Nicole. And we'll see you on Friday.
Okay. Thanks, Pat.
Nicole. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of Family in Focus.
Bye.